Welcome back to the MMA Huddle, people. We are back once again for a UFC card this upcoming Saturday from a new place, the UFC. I've never been to, Santiago, Chile. First and foremost, coming off a pretty bonkers weekend actually at UFC 224 with finishes galore, stories galore, people still going on about the main event, about the corner. Should she or shouldn't she got pulled from that fight? So a whole load of talking points, but that was last week. We're only going to move on to this week. Also, subscribe. You'll probably notice that my sound is a lot better. We've had a little bit of criticism myself, really, for the sound through my computer, and it was pretty shocking, to be honest with you. But I got birthday monies last week, so I decided to put it to good use and got this microphone / dildo.
Yeah, your missus will use it, is that?
It's massive. It's absolutely huge. A big black thing as well, which helps, which she was impressed with. So yeah, come and subscribe to us on YouTube. We're across all the listening formats of SoundCloud and iTunes, and just help us build the product. We're still in the kind of early stages of it. We're going to probably get more into it, and more things will come from it the longer we do it. But just subscribe, and anytime you want to throw in questions or jump into direct messages to send us questions or whatever, just come and do it. We're always there. I have to get actually the MMA Huddle Twitter page back on because I got a new phone as well, so I need to get onto that account, so I'll need to get that sorted. Don't let me forget. But we're going to get started with UFC Chile down in Santiago, Chile. And we're going to start off in the lightweight division with Claudio Puelles against Felipe Silva, and I'm going to let you lead off with this one, John.
Oh, bro, well, I've got to say, it's so beautiful to hear your crystal clear voice. This fight here is going to be pretty much one-sided. I don't see it going any other way. Felipe Silva, I know he got starched by Tysonov, right? It was, but the thing is, Felipe Silva is a legit striker. That guy is a beast. Take away that fight was a kill or be killed. It could have literally went either way to either fighter. It was just that the way it happened. Felipe Silva, though, is going to go into this fight against Puelles, who, in my opinion, he just doesn't have the skill set enough to cope with the kind of ferocity that Felipe is. Felipe is very aggressive with striking. He will keep coming forward, use those big long kicks, use that strike and that straight punches. And I only see it going one way, and I see a first round finish by Felipe Silva. I think he's a really good talent to have in this lightweight division. He's going to be a lot of problems for a lot of fighters.
Yeah, I'm with you in that one here. I think this is the easiest money in the whole card. If you're looking for a surefire bet to probably come through, I think Felipe Silva is he's a big favourite for a reason. But if you're looking to make some pretty easy money, hopefully that line comes down. Silva is the guy to put your money on, in my opinion. A devastating striker, and we've seen that against Shane Campbell in his UFC debut. Very, very, very aggressive against Shane Campbell, who's a decent striker himself. Came forward and he absolutely folded Shane Campbell with a body shot and followed up with a right and a left and got a finish inside about a minute and a half in his UFC debut. And then he came into that fight with Tysonov and got too aggressive and paid for it with his chin being absolutely moved off his face pretty much. It's too aggressive against a guy like Tysonov, who's a good counter striker himself. He's shown to me in his fights before the UFC he's a really good counter striker as well. So if Puelles comes forward, I think he's going to catch a big shot. Puelles is only 22 years old. He is still super green. He got beat at featherweight against Martin Bravo, and now he's moving up against a big guy who's got 10 years of age over him, a lot more experience as well. I think it's a tough out for Claudio Puelles. I'm going to go with the first round knockout as well. I just think the aggression is going to be too much, and he should be able to take him out there. So moving on, Enrique Briones against Frankie Saenz. This was one actually I'm very heavily in the favour of Frankie Saenz here, but I've got a funny feeling that Briones could make it a little bit closer than what it really should be, because Frankie Saenz has a legit kind of a game with his wrestling that not too many people really have. So he's obviously got the wrestling. His striking's not overly that good. It's pretty obvious what he wants to do here. He wants to probably use the aggression that Briones is going to use, take him down. I really think that's the be-all and end-all of this fight. If he can get takedowns, and he will get takedowns against Briones, because Briones has shown that he hasn't got the best takedown defense. but he is a slugger, he is a brawler. All it takes is one shot. Plus, Frankie Saenz is he's not young by any means whatsoever. He's in his, I think he's late 30s. He's been around a long time, not kind of fight-wise, but with his wrestling and so on. I think if Frankie Saenz can get takedowns and rinse and repeat that, I think he will just wear out Briones, and then he'll keep doing it for 15 minutes. So I'm going to go Frankie Saenz, be a pretty much a unanimous decision there.
Yeah, I think Briones is tough. That's the problem Frankie Saenz has got here. He's not fighting a guy who's easy to put away. So I think it's going to be, like you say, a smart fight by Frankie. He knows what he's up against. He knows against a guy who will just bite down that gum shield. He'll grit it out. So it's just wear and tear. You know, wear him out with the strength that you have. Frankie's wrestling's far superior, and it's just going to be a kind of a masterclass in grappling. And I think if Frankie, the best thing, the way Frankie's going to win it is probably a TKO on the ground with maybe ground and pound. Maybe because he's just overwhelming him, maybe not putting Briones out, but just because there's no he's not fighting back, so to speak. You know, Frankie could probably pin him down in a position where it's just against the cage, especially. You see a lot of guys get pinned against the cage, and it's just the numbers game. You know, if you hit the guy enough times in a short period, like the referees sometimes think, oh my god, he's been hit 20 times in 5 seconds, I better stop the fight. You know, something like that could very well happen with, and we're here. I just see Frankie just using that knowledge, experience, not kind of getting into that dogged fight that Briones wants. Briones wants to be standing there and just kind of biting down and really using that striking. But Frankie's just going to use the striking, like you say, to get that wrestling in. And I am the same as you, Will. I see Frankie getting... I see a decision, but if there's only one way he'll win it, like I say, is probably something in that format of the ground and pound TKO.
Both guys are 37 years old, so they're both kind of old dudes, and they're... Any one of these guys that loses this fight, they could easily be kind of gone, to be honest with you, because Frankie Saenz is coming off a fight with Dvalishvili where he probably should have lost that fight, being honest. But yeah, it's an interesting fight, but I just think that he's got that skill set where he can take the fight wherever he wants. So I think we're both going with Saenz here pretty much unanimously. Moving on, featherweight division, and this is a good fight. I really like the look of this fight. Enrique Barzola against Brandon Davis. How do you see it going?
Well, Brandon Davis made a pretty big mark when he came into the UFC. Man, that was a hell of a debut he made, and he really kind of put his worth in. But I think the two guys, because I think the pair of them were making their debut, you got to sit there and you think, well, has he fought UFC level yet? I personally think it's the worst. I don't think it's the best fight for him. I think Barzola is above him in kind of the UFC stature anyway. I'm surprised the matchup was made, but they probably think highly of Brendan, and that's more of a reflection on him rather than a negative on Barzola. They probably feel like Brendan's going to do quite well. I don't think Brendan's going to win the fight though. I think Barzola is stupidly well-rounded. I think he's he's got the wrestling, we know that. You know he's such... But I think because he's at ATT, he's getting that striking confidence, and the way he's transitioning into the striking and the wrestling, it's getting more and more smooth, where it's getting to the point where it's hard to read him. That's the big difference, where it used to be you could read Barzola. He was going for that takedown, even though he can get it, because he was such a strong grappler. It's now getting to the point where he's got a good, smooth transition between the two. It's very difficult to read, so then that affects a striker. If you're wanting to strike, which Brendan we know wants to strike, and we know he's a good striker, it's hard to plant your feet, because if guys come in for that takedown, your feet are planted. You're not getting out of there. And I think it's what we'll see. I think we'll see the two of them. They are going to be teeing off on each other for little moments, but Barzola, when the fists start going, that's when he makes his move. That's when he'll come in, get you down, break that rhythm up, then start again and recycle. It's just going to be a rinse and recycle. I think Brennan's tough as nails though. I can't see him getting put away. I see Barzola though getting the kind of decision win, but don't get wrong, Barzola's going to eat some heavy leather here, but I think it's going to be a crack, and this is potential one of the top 3 fight of the night here. This is going to be definitely up there.
I love Barzola.
Yeah.
I think he's one of those guys. He's come from like Peru, little known place, especially for fighters coming out of there. and you've seen since he came into the UFC, he's starting to gain confidence. He's obviously come in as a grappler, but he's starting to put his striking acumen together, and I think he uses really nice low kicks. I don't think he can really use them all that much here against Brendan Davis, because I think Brandon actually, his defense, his leg kicks is actually pretty good. He actually lifts him. He's seen that in the fight, I think it was Bochniak, that he used. That Bochniak he started off really well with low kicks, and then he kind of faded out a little bit because Davis started to read them, and then from there he started to use his length, but then Bochniak started to suckle away and pretty much didn't want to instigate the fight really. In the second fight against Steven Peterson, that was a brawl. That was a great fight, back and forward. I just think that there's going to be opportunities where Barzola's going to be able to maybe catch a leg, catch something and take him down. And I just think he's going to outwork him. I think he's got a better pace of fighting him, I think, than what Davis has, even though I think Brandon Davis has a really good pace that he sets himself, never stops, comes forward. I just think Barzola can mix it up. I don't think he obviously wants to stand there and strike with Davis. He's obviously going to take this to the ground. But I think he's at that point now where he mixes it up a lot more than what he used to. It was always get the takedown. Now he's willing to go in there, throw combinations, get into the clinch, try and get a takedown, and eventually he will get there. I still think there's improvements to be made with this guy, but he's on a nice little win streak. I see him just outworking Brandon Davis over the 15 minutes of this fight here, and from there I've got him winning a decision. So Enrique Barzola, decision for me. Yeah. Staying in the featherweight division, this could be a good fight, and it's a fight I was a little bit unsure about when it was made. It's Gabriel Benitez against Humberto Bandenay. Gabriel Benitez is coming off an unbelievable performance against Jason Knight, where he pretty much shut him down. Now I don't know whether that was a little bit that maybe he didn't turn up, Jason Knight, because he didn't look good, but can't take anything away from Benitez. He looked really, really good. He looked composed, fought to a game plan, used the aggressiveness of Jason Knight to his advantage. His low kicks are absolutely brutal, but he's starting to follow up with some brutal hands as well. He's one of those guys I always thought, right, Gabriel Benitez wins one, loses one. And his record, actually looking at it now, is win one, lose one, win one, lose one, pretty much. I think this is going to be the first time he puts... the second time, he puts a couple of fights together where he's on a win streak. I thought he should have got... I think he's a ranked featherweight, and he's getting Bandenay here. So I'm a little bit surprised he's making his... he's having his second fight in the UFC. He's coming off that brutal knee knockout of Martin Bravo. Martin Bravo, Gabriel Benitez, huge jumping comp. Huge jump. So I just think... I think it's a little bit much for Bandenay right now. I think from what I've seen of his fights outside the UFC, very aggressive, likes to throw wild strikes. I think his kicking game's very good. Does have some submissions. I do think he can be taken down though. Gabriel Benitez, I think, is just a little bit too good in my opinion, for Bandenay. I could be wrong, because I thought Bravo actually might have had a chance of beating Bandenay, and that fight didn't last any more than 30 seconds. So I'm going to go Gabriel Benitez. I think he can stop Bandenay here. I'm going to go a TKO in round number 2 for Mowgli.
Yeah, Bandenay's, like you say, that knee finish, it was beautiful, because it wasn't actually a knee. He was he did a Marlon Moraes against Aljamain, where he hit low, and then what he did was he went, like a Thiago Santos, he hit low, then went high, and all that happened was Bravo went down to get the leg, because he was expecting a leg kick to get the leg for a takedown, and he just aided in the knockout and met head to, shin to chin, and like you say, it didn't go so well. So then he will have a lot of confidence with that, but you're not going to get that with Benitez. Like you say, Benitez is tall. He's a big dude on the featherweight, so he's not going to be shooting down for that. He's going to be happy to stand and strike. So you'll see Bandenay might go for that low then high combination, but you won't see Benitez getting caught in that manner. But like you say, Matt, I just think Benitez, with that performance he did Jason Knight, whether Jason Knight, to be fair, had fought a lot. He was almost fighting too often, in my opinion. Like you say, like Mike Perry as well. Like, you're just doing fight camp after fight camp. Your body's just breaking down. And Jason Knight doesn't go half-arsed. He fights in wars. Like, he will go and take a licking. I think Jason Knight need that little break. But anyway, yeah, Benitez, though, he looked on fire. If he performs like he did on that night, Bandenay's going to have a horrible time. And I'm with him. I think Benitez gets the finish. I do. I think he's just looking really good at the moment. And I think if he just keeps that momentum with that way performing against Jason Knight, I think you can see it definitely get a finish. I think the opportunity there to beat Bandenay, and I go with you. Benitez, late second round, maybe late first, second round.
Mm-hmm. It must be one of those things. I'm actually just thinking about it now. Brandon Davis. This is his third fight in 2018. He fought in January. He fought in February, I think it was, and he's fighting here in May because he fought Bochniak. Then he fought.
Is it that close? Yeah.
Yeah, it must be something with that gym because he's from the Jason Knight's gym as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, with Al Belcher. Yeah.
Yeah, it must be one of those things that coming out of down south there, those guys. But there's a lot of fight time in 2018 already. So yeah, this is the fight I'm really looking forward to, and it was a fight that beforehand. I thought, I'm a bit meta, but then I watched some of the fights beforehand. I thought, oh, this is going to be good. Poliana Botelho against Yuri Kondo. How do you see it going?
I love the matchup as well. When like you say, it's when you watch the footage to remind yourself of some of their bouts a bit more. It's then when because sometimes you can remember one fighter, but then when you watch the both, and like you say, bro, then you start to imagine. You then take them two, then put them together. These girls are going to knock the heck out of each other. They're going to batter each other for 3 rounds. I don't see it going to the ground that much, to be fair. I think the only time you're ever going to see a grappling aspect is when, do you know when fighters get too close when they're striking? They just naturally go for that grapple. Probably more to stop the potential elbow attack of your opponent, maybe getting an elbow in. I think that's probably the only time when maybe they rush into each other. You'll see a bit of a grappling, get against the cage, knee, referee separate, off they go again. And I think that's pretty much what we're going to see 3 rounds. We're going to see these 2 girls. Like, Kondo, we've seen that with a lot of the girls, especially the Asian women fighters. They like to just go and stand and bang. Like, they're game, a lot of them are game, and do you know what? I love it. And I think we're going to see this fight just go, I'm going to go with... But I'm going to go Botelho. Yeah, I'm going to go Botelho. I don't think it's going to be a whooping, people. I don't think it's going to be 3 rounds. Like she's going to be like 10-8, 10-8, 10-8. Like, I think Kondo's going to be giving a lot back. But I think it's going to be, she'll get the better of Kondo. So I'm going to go decision. Yeah, but it's going to be I think it's going to be, again, like say top 3 fights. That's going to be in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this fight for the simple reason I think that these girls are going to stand in front of each other and they're going to throw leather. Because that Kondo fight with Chan Mi Yeon, they kept coming at each other, and she threw. The one thing that really impressed me with Kondo was actually her pace, and her output was crazy. She just kept coming forward, didn't take a back step the whole entire fight, and was kind of impressive. But she was facing a girl who's kind of young in the sport. She was only like 20 or 21 years old. Botelho's been around a little bit longer. Not fight-wise, she's only had 7 fights. The one thing I really like with Botelho from her fight, now her fight with Pel Gonzalez was a little bit of a spoiler. Last time out, Pel really didn't want to have anything in the feet, and any time that she did, she ate heavy leg kicks. She ate a jab constantly. So that was the reason she pushed against the fence, and really she just held her. She didn't do anything. Botelho showed pretty decent takedown defense as well. So I think
she got her down in the end.
Yeah, she did. I love her wide stance. She's got a very wide stance, and that's something that I think she's going to use to her advantage here over Kondo. She's got a height advantage of about 4 or 5 inches. I don't know the reaches of both girls, but I'm taking a guess. She's quite a long fighter, is Botelho. And this girl's got power, big power. And I think it kind of reminds me, we'll go back to last week, like Mackenzie Dern. I think when she hit Amanda Cooper, you could see Amanda Cooper's face like, oh, I've never been hit like that before. Somebody with legit power who can absolutely spark you. And if you go out and watch some of the fights before she came into the UFC, she was stopping girls with kicks. She was knocking girls out in the first round. Now, I'm not saying these girls are any good, but they did have decent records, 5-0, 4-1. Not bad records. We've seen worse in the UFC. There is worse records in the UFC. I actually think she's going to stop Kondo. I think the accumulation of strikes is, I think she's going to keep her at a long jab, try and double it up. Anytime that Kondo has to come forward, she has to get quite dirty, and I think she's going to get caught in a clinch. She's going to get hit with some heavy strikes, and I think the accumulation of strikes is going to wear away on Kondo, and I think Botelho's going to stop her. I think in probably late in the third, or in and around the third round. I just think she's got enough power. She kind of reminds me. I don't know why it is. Why I thought of that. I thought of that this afternoon when I was watching Botelho fights. I thought Mackenzie Dern is going to be one of those people that you have to be careful with her on the feet, because the girl, she's a big set girl, and she throws, and she hits.
Yeah, she is a big set girl. Yeah,
big set girl. Now I'm not saying Botelho isn't. But she just reminds me. I think she's got power in her hands and she can put you down, and I think that's what she's going to do here. So it's not too many times I'll pick girls to finish fights, but I'm picking in this one here. So I'm going to go third round TKO for Botelho there.
Especially strawweight, especially when you're going down the low weight class.
Yeah, especially the lows. But I'm going to take. It's just a little one that I might actually. I don't think I'll put a bet on it by any seems, but I think that I think she can get it done. So. Flyweight division, one of the best divisions in the whole entire UFC, and a rematch taking place between Brandon Moreno against Alexandre Pantoja. These guys fought before an Ultimate Fight, and it was an absolute war. It was an absolute back and forward war. And Moreno wasn't expecting. He was expecting actually to get blown out of the water against Pantoja, and come in and gave him a really good fight, really tough, hard-nosed fight, and. Since then, Brandon Moreno's come into the UFC. He's definitely progressed his game. I still think there's a lot of things that he needs to work on, but he is still a young man. I don't know what his age is. Let me see. 24 years old. So he's still a young fighter who's been in the UFC. He's accumulated some really good wins over some decent fighters as well. Smolka, who at that time, that was 2 years ago, he wasn't in his losing capacity. He kind of lost a few fights in a row. Ryan Benoit's always a tough guy to face. And Dustin Ortiz, anytime you can, and he stopped that guy, and he stopped him with a head kick and followed it up with a submission. Then he just got outclassed by the all-around better fighter in Sergio Pettis. Interesting. I don't know where he's training out of. I went and had a look on Instagram and so on, but I can't find where he's actually training out of. Whether he's back in Mexico, whether it was Colorado. I think at one point he was there, but I have no idea where he is. He might be out in California or something. Pantoja is a guy that we seen in, I think it was Glasgow against Neil Seery, and he impressed me. Like, he was and now I know Neil Seery was on his way out to say that he was already retiring, but yeah, he really impressed. I think he's probably the one that impressed me most at UFC Glasgow. Just his all-around performance, getting the finish. Since he's come into UFC, he's looked decent. He just got outworked by Dustin Ortiz, who was the bigger guy, the stronger guy, couldn't stop the takedowns, and eventually that led to him losing the fight here. Plus he's got a legit record. 18-3 record is a really good record as well. The guy's a killer. I'm a little bit unsure with this fight, because I thought I'm trying to think back from the first fights and the improvements that's been made from Moreno since. And there's definitely some there. He's a better striker than he was. I think he's more technical than he was. Obviously, I have to be careful with submissions, but I think Pantoja is one of those guys that can stop him from doing. Like, I don't see Moreno taking him to the ground, and that's where he's lost his last fight. I think these two are going to kind of go at it in the feet. I think Pantoja is more technical, more crisp with his striking. Moreno's probably the bigger hitter. I'm going to go Alexandre Pantoja, but I see both guys winning a round, and I see it coming down to round 3 who wants it more. So I'm going to go Pantoja via a very, very close decision.
I am going with you on who wins. I'm going Pantoja as well. I agree. It's 100%. It's one of the bouts where they are. It's not going to be a huge difference, but again, I think Pantoja's got the experience, and I think he is like just. I love watching this guy fight. He's so aggressive. He's like you say, like that Ortiz fight. He wanted to fight. Ortiz had no interest whatsoever wanting to stand with him, because you saw as soon as he started to interact, he went. Ortiz was like, "Let's get this down. Let's get this down. Let's keep this down. I do not want to have any of that." And like you say, Brendan's going to have to stand there and take that. I think Pantoja is just a horrible storm to fight. You know, I think he's just a very good fighter. You know, he's Moreno. I love the fact that he's young. I think again, I was going to say, who's the other? Ray Borg. He's really young as well, isn't he? He's a young man. Yeah,
that was who these two were supposed to fight.
But it's because Ray Borg's the one.
Shout out to Ray Borg and what's going on with his little one.
Yeah,
can get home. So that's not like some terrible news, and hopefully.
I'm so glad they pulled him out of it. So happy.
So
silly thing to do. Like, no way should you have someone fighting with anything like that on his mind.
Yeah.
And a big shout out to John Gooden as well, eh?
Yeah.
Super happy for him and the missus, man. Yeah. But yeah, like I say, mate, it's a fight where I'm super pumped because I love the flyweights. Always going to love the flyweight division. I think Brendan, it's not going to be a bad thing that he loses this as well. I think because he's young, it's a good thing to get down a little bit on the rankings, get those other fights where you can try a bit of stuff and get certain fighters that are more suitable to experiment with. I think Pantoja is just one of them guys who's going to potentially be contending for that title, and I think he's just going to go away with that win. I think he'll win all 3 rounds, if I'm honest, but I don't think he's going to win all 3 rounds by a gulf. I think it's going to be kind of it's going to be quite close, but I think Pantoja is just going to get off with a few more cleaner shots and land a few more, so on the judges' eyes especially, you'll see him taking a bit more.
Good fight, really good fight. Moving on to the kind of the main event of the prelims, you could say in the welterweight division, a lightweight is moving up.
A real welterweight is going back to where he belongs.
A lightweight is moving up, or being pretty much made to move up to the 170-pound division, as Zach Cummins faces off against Michel Prazeres. How do you see it going?
Well, I see Prazeres maybe making 170 pounds. He might make weight. That's what I mean. You don't know. Well, look, this happened before where dudes go up the weight class and somehow they can't make that weight class either. You know, it wouldn't even shock me. The dude had... Basically, I think it's age is what the big thing is here. Is that he's got a bit older and he just can't make that 155 limit. You know, he's just too big. You know, when he was younger, like you say, like Gleason Tebow, like there's going to be a point when Tebow just can't make that cut. And I think Prazeres is one of those guys, he just couldn't make that cut anymore. He's in the right weight class, but he's way too short. He's a dwarf. He looks like Johnny Hendricks in the middleweight division. Just like, what you just don't... Your body type is... You're a big, stocky guy, but your body type doesn't suit the weight class. Zach Cummins is not a small welterweight. This is like a punishment for him. It's like the UFC have went, well, you've had all this advantage bullying fighters. We're going to give you someone who's massive for that weight class. Zach Cummins is a massive welterweight. Like, I've met him, talked to him. I've interviewed him about weight cutting, how much he cuts and all that stuff. Dude's a big guy. Prazeres is not going to have his way. Like, Cummins is a good grappler. So that's the thing that Prazeres is good at, is getting guys down because he uses his size. Good luck getting Zach Cummins down. Ain't going to happen. And do you know what the good thing about Zach is? His hands are coming along really nicely in the past 2-3 fights. He's just got more and more confident opening those hands, combinations, finishes. I know he's won the last 2 with submissions, but it's his hands that are setting everything up. Man, I see Prazeres getting a whooping. I see him trying to get Zach down real quick because it won't go too well for him. And Zach's going to just... I think Zach's going to give him a whooping here. I think he's going to beat him. He's going to get on top of him and just beat him down. And I think it's second round. I give Prazeres the first round to last the first round, but I don't think he'll get out that second round. I think Zach Cummins is going to have a good time with it.
Yeah, when you look at Prazeres' game, he's got that power jiu-jitsu game that he really looks to power you down and look for leg locks and look for just dominance. BJJ, but he never usually finishes guy. But he's a guy that you need to be careful when he's on top because he's got those north-south chokes. But this is he's a huge difference here. These guys are it's gonna be quite funny when these guys are standing at the staring off at one another, and I just think that he's actually getting himself into a real muckle here by going up to 170. But he's got no choice. He got moved up there. He is on a win streak. So that's something that you have to be super. He's gonna have confidence kind of steaming out of him. He's not gonna have to make a huge weight cut compared to what he's used to. But if I'm a betting man and I had an opportunity to bet whether he misses weight or not, I would absolutely put money on him not making weight for some reason. I think he's going to struggle big time. But he is coming off 6 wins. They're not over the biggest names. I did think his win against Desmond Green was. He came through some adversity there.
And he missed weight badly as well in that one.
161, I think he was there, so he missed by 5 pounds at least. I just think that he's going to come out, he's going to try, and he's going to realise I'm in trouble. I think that eventually, like you said, it finds his way to the ground, and Zach Cummins, he's going to dwarf him if he gets in top position, gets his back. Now that's hard to do against someone like Prazeres because he is wide and he is strong, but he's going to start fading. And against a bigger guy, like you said, Zach Cummins is a big dude as well. He's coming off. He'll be hungry. He had that fight with Thiago Alves, and then he slipped on weigh-in day and busted himself up. So he'll be looking forward to getting back at it. I just think he's going to be, once he gets the opportunity to put all his weight on him, and he's tiring himself out a little bit, I think that he's going to absolutely put a whooping on Michel Prazeres, and I'm going to go a TKO finish as well. So moving on to the main card in the welterweight division with Vicente Luque against Chad Lepre. Good fight, really good fight. And Vicente Luque is one of those guys that I think is a big guy to look out for in the future. I think he's got a lot of talents. I think he's someone you have to be careful with. I think he maybe gets in his own head a little bit. I think in the Leon Edwards fight, he was scared in the striking exchanges a little bit because he knew that Leon was a very fast, fluid striker. But this guy's a striker as well, and when he puts his head to it, he puts his mind to it, I should say, the guy is really, really good. And he showed that against Nico Price. He absolutely bossed that fight. He came in there in 11 days' notice and did not put 1 foot wrong. Was peppering with leg kicks, was using a beautiful straight left jab, and he was doubling it up. And then when he got the opportunity, when he hurt Nico Price, his jiu-jitsu was absolutely unbelievable. Once he started getting more comfortable as well, his combinations were flowing. He couldn't be touched in that fight, and he looked incredible. And you look at the guys that he's fought as well. He's not fought bad guys in his last few fights. Leon Edwards is a ranked fighter. Bilal Muhammad, me and you are both fans of that guy, and he knocked him out dead in the first round there. From what we've seen from the Ultimate Fighter through the last, it must be 3 years now, the guy has put on a lot of progression, looks really, really good. I'm a big fan, I'm a big admirer of Vicente Luque. Chad Lepre, on the other hand, I think he's a solid professional, very, very solid. I don't think he's anything more than that. When you look at his skill set, I think everything's solid. Everything's very, very solid. But apart from that, I just think he's a mediocre fighter. I think that Luque has paths to go and notches to go up. I do like the fact that he's obviously at welterweight. He's not killing himself to make 155 anymore. Yeah. So he's going to be a lot more refreshed. He's going to be in the fight a lot longer. He's coming off that win over Gloria Bufando where he got absolutely smoked by a shot. Now, that, to be fair to him, that Bufando hand speed was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was like old school Vitor.
Yeah, that was some serious hand speed, and he hit him with like 3 shots before he hit the deck. Yeah. Well. So, but then Gloria Bufando can't stop a takedown. Once you're on top of him, he has no idea what to do. Look at his wins. Like we're talking about Vicente Luque and his last 3 fights. It was like Leon Edwards, Bilal Muhammad, Nico Price. Now, I know he lost to Leon Edwards. A few people are doing that. They're losing to Leon Edwards right now. But then you look, Gloria Bufando, Brian Camozzi, Thibault Gouti, Ross Pearson. He lost to Ross Pearson. That Vicente Luque is a whole other level to those guys, and it's going to show here. I think he's going to be up in the feet. I think that Luque is going to storm in for a takedown, and he's got that beautiful Darce choke, and he's caught it a couple of times as well. I think he's going to submit him in the middle part of this fight. So Vicente Luque is going to be my pick there. It's
a matchup. I think Chad Lepre, like you say, he's not a bad fighter at all. Like every time I see him on a fight card, I think I don't mind watching Chad Lepre. I think he's a good fighter to watch. But like you say, when you're beating guys like Brian Camozzi, I feel bad for him. He came in, and the hype of his brother did not help his cause. Like, his brother was not a bad fighter at all. Let's put it out there. Chris Camozzi, legit dude, came in, was always game. But Brian had a rough ride coming into that UFC. And Chad got that win, you know, and it was one of them ones where, I don't want to call it a gimme, but it was kind of a gimme win. He got that there. Like you say, Chad's never done anything overly impressive to make himself stand out. I think now he's going to fight a guy in Vincent Luque who, like Vincent Luque, he's lost some fights, but the thing is, he loses fights maybe a little bit on, I say, not fighter IQ, maybe not being the smartest fighter IQ, not being on point with certain things, but Vincent Luque can just pull stuff out. When, like you say, when he was on point, when he's flown with that confidence, he's like riding that wave. He looks like one of the best welterweights in that division, you know. And I think, like, if you had the guy who performed against Nico Price fight Leon Edwards, you don't know what fight result you would have had there. Do you know, it's a different fight. So, and I think, like, say, Vince Luque's striking's coming on leaps and bounds. He's got beautiful grappling. I think Chad's just going to drown, like you said. I think Chad is actually going to be all right though for the first 2 rounds, and maybe the 3rd round it just will take a toll. You know, the pace that Vincent Luque can put on him, the striking clinic. I'm going to go with finishing the 3rd for Mr. Luque.
Now we've got one of Chile's homegrown own fighters here, and I think it's the only one we've got in the card. It is, yeah. Diego Rivas comes in against Guido Ninja Canetti. How are you seeing that one going down?
Tell you what, Rivas, man, he like said, he had that, was it cancer, and he had to have, you know, like, kudos to the dude, man. Like, he literally, in theory, should not be here. You know, he had like emergency surgery, all that stuff. So I tip my hat off if he's got some cojones. You know, that dude, like, you could have easily had that happen, be like, oh man, I'm gonna look after my body, that's me, I'm not gonna fight anymore, thanks for the opportunity, UFC, all this health troubles. And the UFC would have been like, yeah, cool, you know, not a problem. But he's like, nope, fuck it, I'm in. And he came back. Don't get me, like, you could see he was a little bit off of his timings, and I think this is the kind of more suitable fight for him to get back into things again. And because I think he is a good talent. Like, the kid hits hard, like, he cracks. Rivas can crack. But Canetti, I was impressed with Canetti's last performance. For the first couple of minutes, he came out with a lot of energy, surprisingly lots of combinations and pace. I think Canetti was trying to try too hard, if that makes sense, to get something. It's like he was trying to force something to happen when he didn't. If you took the time, something's going to happen for you. But I think Canetti, again, he's 38 years old, isn't he now? I think it is. It's one of them ones where it does play a factor. Age is a big, huge factor. It's certainly in the lower weight classes. Like, for example, you get away with it in heavyweight, you get away with it in light heavyweight and middleweight. But it's very rare for the weight classes from welterweight down. You only get a cluster of guys like your Damian Maia, but there's not a lot of other guys in welterweight or further down who are in their, like, say, 37 up range. There's not many of them still kicking around in like it's like a hand, like maybe only a scope of them. And I think Canetti's going to find out here that Rivas, now that he's getting back into a more regular fight scene, he's going to cause Canetti a problem, and I think he's going to put Canetti to sleep, Max. I think Rivas got a bit of power, and I think he's going to actually get finishing this fight. And I wouldn't be shocked if it was the first round again. I think Canetti's going to come out again, over-exuberant, over-zealous, try a bit too much to try and get the finish with the wild combinations. Rivas is just going to get the timing for the first maybe minute or two, and then pop, and then just start cracking. And I would be surprised if it was a first-round knockout for Rivas.
Yeah, I'm with you in that. I'm not a fan of Guido Canetti. I'm surprised he's still around the UFC. Got the returning Kang last time out, and I think I actually had a bet on Kyung Ho Kang or something inside the distance. I think it was, and that cashed nicely. So the only thing I think Rivas needs to be careful at is that he's at home. He might get a little bit overzealous when he put on something for the crowd, and he gets caught with a big shot. The one thing that Canetti can do is he can throw with power, but that's the only thing I really see him needing to be careful with here. He doesn't have to worry about a ground game. He doesn't have to worry about a jiu-jitsu game, really. He just needs to be careful that he doesn't engage in a brawl and get caught with a big shot. I think he's the more athletic fighter. I think he's the more speedier fighter. I think he's the more technical fighter. And with that, I just don't see him losing this fight, especially not at home. I'd be super surprised if Guido Canetti came in here and beat this guy. I just think that Canetti's... he's old. He's going to be at that. I think you'll see him fighting Combate America. That's the place where he should be going fighting down in Latin America and so on. I just think that Rivas at home, it's going to be hard to really beat this guy. I think he's going to be amped to get the win here, and I like him to catch Canetti with something pretty. You never know. He threw a flying knee before and caught a guy. Yeah. Could happen here. So I'm going to go Diego Rivas with the stoppage there. Moving on, women's flyweight division. This is an interesting one, I think. Veronica Macedo against Andrea KGB Lee, who's
interviewed with me in the interviews online. If you want to check it out, folks.
Now, is it me or you to go here?
You to go, bro.
Is it me to go? This is the fight I looked a lot into, especially yesterday and today. I was meant to do my predictions last night, but I fell asleep stupidly early. I was knackered. It's literally slept for like 12 hours solid, which was nice. But I did watch a lot of these girls' fights, and I waited for the lines to come out because I thought, is it going to be what I think it is? Is it going to be a pretty heavy favourite in one direction? And it's turned out to be even bigger than I thought it was going to be. Now, Veronica Macedo, she really hasn't got that much experience. She's got like 7 fights. She's like 22 years old. She's an absolute smoke show. She's absolutely gorgeous. And if you put her name in the Google machine, you'll go and see a lot of really nice pictures, so go and do that as well. But she's a legit fighter as well. She's got a Taekwondo background. She was a Taekwondo world champion. She's got that, if you maybe haven't seen it before, she's got a head kick knockout. I think when she fought in the UK, actually.
It was the UK on a card called Say Uncle, because I fought on the same card in Sheffield.
There we go. And she caught her with a flush kick, caught her opponent with a flush kick to the face. You've seen her, she throws a lot of spin attacks. She's got a lot of really decent strikes as well. So I think on the feet, Andrea Lee's a Muay Thai world champion as well. So you've got two different styles. Veronica does spin a little bit more. She's one of those kind of girls, and she caught Ashley Evans Smith with a spinning back kick, and Ashley Evans Smith she recognised that hurt a little bit. Lee is the longer fighter. I think she's a little bit more versed on the feet than what Macedo is, but Macedo is still dangerous with her strikes, with her kicks. Both girls are brown belts. Andrea Lee, the big thing I see here is she's got over Macedo's probably fight time. She's faced better opposition, and she has fought more times. In saying that, I think both girls' games could counteract one another, and I think it's going to be really, really close. Lee, obviously, if she fights, I don't know. I think Veronica Macedo, as a big underdog here, has a chance to win this fight, and it's actually something I'm looking at betting wise. We'll talk about that later, but I'm going to go Veronica Macedo for a big upset here. I just think that I'll be honest with you, I'm not the biggest fan of Andrea KGB Lee. I've had people ram it down my throat thing. I've actually got a mate who made a £50 bet that between now and the end of 2019 that she's going to be the UFC flyweight champion. And I was like, you do realise that Valentina Shevchenko fights in this division? You realise that Joanna Jędrzejczyk's probably going to come up into this division, who would absolutely run away with someone like Andrea Lee. So that's going to be the easiest money I ever make in my life when that comes in about 18 months' time. So I just like Macedo. I think it's going to be close, and I think she can have moments in this fight where she can make Andrea Lee look sloppy. But with Lee, she is a pretty decent fighter. I'm not her biggest fan. I think Macedo's got a chance here, so I'm going to it's a dog or pass one for me, and I'm going to pick Macedo for the win. How do you see it?
Okay, I like it. All right, yeah. So, like you say, fought the same card. She is a impressive woman to see in person. Veronica is a lovely person as well. I've interviewed her in the past. She's a good fighter, like you say, young. She fought upper weight class, came in to fight short notice. She stepped in, all good, well done. She got a bit dominated. She is too small for that weight class. She's coming. Thankfully, this weight class of the flyweight's come for her. Andrea Lee, though, like, she's the same. Andrea Lee, like, she wanted this flyweight division in the UFC. That was her thing. She's kind of been waiting for it. She's fought in Victor, LFA. She's fought a great array of fighters. Andrea Lee as well. Her striking, she's starting to grow a bit more with the confidence and technical ability. I just see her being a bit more suave with her striking. She's very aggressive with the hands. And I think her combination, she does the body. This is what I love about Andrea Lee. She rips the body on opponents. And I think this is what's going to take the difference in the fight. I think Veronica's going to have her shot and get her hits in with her hands and her feet, etc. But I think the combinations that Andrea Lee throws is going to be what's more telling. Those body shots are going to really really put a toll on Veronica. And come the second, third round, you'll start to see it. I think you'll either see Veronica go down, or you'll see Veronica just really slow right down. I think she's going to... Andrea, I think I'm going to go with Lee here for the win. Third round stoppage or decision, but I think Andrea Lee's going to get that body shots. Honestly, watch out for them, folks. She rips that body so well with that left hook. Keep an eye out for it. She's going to knock that gas tank out of Veronica. I'm going to go with Lee.
Interesting going against one another there. But light heavyweight division, Jared Cannonier against Dominic Reyes. You're up.
Okay, Dominic Reyes, I'm not overly impressed with him. I've got to be honest, straight off the bat. You know, but the problem you've got is with the light heavyweight division, it's not hard to look good. Like, the dude's undefeated, but who's he fought? You know, it's outside of the UFC. You can get yourself an undefeated record at light heavyweight because there's not many guys around at light heavyweight. You know, and a lot of the guys who are of a good stature in the light heavyweight rankings outside of the UFC tend to not fight each other. The promoters will keep the guy on their promotion to help the guy get to the UFC, so it makes their promotion look awesome, like a feeder thing. And so they'll give them more suitable fights. But a lot of guys in light heavyweight division, there's not that many around that impress me. I'm not overly impressed with Dominic Reyes. There's not much he's done that made me think he's great striking. He's got great takedowns or something. There's nothing there that he's done so far. He's fighting a guy, though, in Jared, who was a heavyweight, went down to light heavyweight, and the guy's not that bad like heavyweight. The dude is tough. Went against Glover Teixeira, like we saw. The dude's got power. He's got good power in his hands, and he's patient. You see a bit of a spring in himself when he's at 205. He looks in great shape. He's really wearing that. He's starting to like get used to the body as well. It was like it's a transition, a similar transition that Jeremy Stevens had when he went from 55 to 45. There was like a 3 or 4 fight transition for Jeremy Stevens to get into that 145 body, because there's a difference between the weight classes of what you can do with a heavyweight and a light heavyweight, how much conditioning you have, and how much you can expend in your body. And I think he's starting to get used to that, Jared. He's starting to slowly see. You're starting to see that development. I just think Reyes is going to maybe get his comeuppance here, get his first loss. I think Jared's going to get a win here. I think he's going to put him to sleep. I can see him hitting him, and I think Reyes is going to go, oh, that's what a legit light heavyweight feels like, and he's going to go to sleep. I'm going to go not too far in the fight, first, early second round. I just something about Reyes. I've watched it. I just can't get excited for Dominic Reyes going in the cage.
Yeah, Jared Cannonier's talking about going. He says win or lose, he's going to 185 after this.
Oh my god, I would freak out if I fought him at 185. He is enormous. He's enormous at 205.
Yeah, James Lynch did an interview with him. I watched it this afternoon, and he says win or lose, he's going down to 185 after this. So interesting. Yeah, Jared Cannonier's a tough guy. It's definitely, this fight reminds me of Cesar Matante Ferreira last week against Carl Roberson. You've beat the guys. You came through the local scene. You've beat a couple of guys in the UFC. Now you're getting another step up. Can you make that step up from facing Jeremy Kimball and Joachim Christensen, who should be in an old folks' home right now? Yeah. What I like about his last fight, and what was horrible about it as well, is that Jeremy Kimball literally came flying at him, just ran at him, and looked to get him down. Got his back for a little bit, but then once he got put in his back, he was like, what am I doing? Yeah. And then just proceeded to get submitted. There was no fight. He didn't even try and fight the hands. He just pretty much just tapped as soon as it went on 2 seconds later. And he does have some heavy hands, and he showed that in the Christensen fight. The thing is, here with Cannonier, he is decent on his feet. He has power, so he has to mind his P's and Q's on there. I think he's got some heavy leg kicks. I think that's what he needs to use against Cannonier. I think Cannonier's just a solid all-around professional. He's faced a bit of competition, obviously. Your Glover Teixeiras and so on. I just think this... last week I got it right with Ferreira. I thought this was a big step up for Roberson. I think that Reyes has got a little bit more about him than what Roberson has right now. Like the fact that he's shown his striking. Love the fact that he's shown he's got a ground game. But I do see it being a really tough fight for him, and I see it being back and forward, and I see Cannonier getting around at least off him. So I'm going to go a close decision for Dominic Reyes in that one there. So, yeah, co-main event of the night. Yeah, Alexa Grasso against Tatiana Suarez. This is an interesting fight to me. I'm seeing a lot of love for Tatiana Suarez, and I can see why.
Yeah.
Because she is like a Tasmanian devil on the ground. She's got really good wrestling, really good grappling, very strong. I think her striking has got a lot to be desired, though, and that is where Alexa Grasso wants to keep this fight. It's your quintessential striker versus grappler here. I think that Grasso, she's been taken down in the past. She was taken down by Felice Herrig, who is very strong, very athletic, but I think that she's coming off that win over Randa Marcos, which was close. If that wasn't in Mexico, who knows who would have got that fight. I think it was a kind of a hometown decision. I've always been a big fan of Alexa Grasso, actually. I think that she's got a lot of talent. We watched her come through in Invicta. Really legit boxing skills, really accurate, very technical. But obviously her weakness is the takedowns and her ground game, probably, where we all know where Suarez's big positives are in this fight. But what she has to do is she really has to mix it up well. If she comes in here and just goes in for a takedown and looks to take her down, and I think she can get it if she was to rush in for a double leg and get her. Whether she could keep Grasso there is another thing. I think Grasso, knowing that she's fighting Suarez, would have to get up that get up game working a lot better. She cannot get caught in open space on the mat. She has to make her way at the cage and will walk back up if she can, because if Suarez gets on top, she's going to instantly look to manoeuvre to a better position, and she did that against Pereira, who's a solid fighter. I think that's a really good win on her record, especially she's only had 5 fights?
She's so raw.
Yeah, so she's won like gold medals as well in women's wrestling, so she's legit when it comes to the ground game, and she's got a submission game there as well. Most of those kind of good wrestlers usually have a couple of good submissions. She seems to have the Darce choke and the head and arm as well. So, and she just consistently took Pereira down last fight. I see this being close. There's a lot of people completely writing off Alexa Grasso, and I can see why they're doing it, because when you watch Suarez, you're like, oh shit, she's got some stuff there that is really legit, and she's got, I think, her grappling and her jiu-jitsu is really good. I think she's just very strong. If she gets her down and she establishes positions down there, it's going to be tough for Grasso. I think Grasso's going to catch her with some big shots and stop takedowns. But ultimately, I think the takedowns are going to be the big thing in this fight. I think there's going to be times in this fight where she dominates and she keeps her down there for a few minutes of the round, accumulates strikes, moves into varying positions, and wins via kind of dominance that way. I'm going to go a decision win for Tatiana Suarez, but by all means, I don't think it's a walkover like a lot of people seen online think.
I don't think it's going to be a walkover. But I do see Suarez getting this win all 3 rounds. I think Grasso, like you say, I remember one of the Invicta fights she had. She looked so good. Everything just clicking for her. Beautiful combinations. You just sat there and went, oh, we've got a great potential here. Like, we've got a great addition to the UFC when she gets signed up to them. And she is. She is a beautiful striker. But the problem you've got is, if you can control where the fight goes, you control the fight. And I think Suarez is going to be game to swing with her. But like you say, I think Suarez might get hit a couple of times and go, now I'm going to take it down. And I don't think Grasso can stop it. I just... The other fact that it came into is, it's not a pay-per-view card. It's a fight night card, smaller cage. Smaller cage, less room to move around. It seems like there's loads of room, people may think it, but that big cage makes so much more difference for them. And I think Suarez can just close her off, close it down, and get her down. And when she's on top, she's horrible, nasty. Gosh, her ground and pound, she's a scary person on top. The thing is, she's got that in her back pocket, so she's only had to work on her striking more than anything else really, leading up to not just this fight, but just in general. I think we're going to see a little bit more out of her with the striking. And we've seen before, we've got people who are good wrestlers, Like, for example, like Johnny Hendricks comes along, good wrestler. Chad Mendes, good wrestler. What have they got? Power in their hands. I think Suarez is going to be one of them, like Dan Henderson. Like, she's going to be one of them ones where she's got the great wrestling, but she just cracks. She doesn't do the Grasso where it's the technical pit, pow, 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 and just hit you with numbers. She's the girl who will be like, I'm going to crack you, and when I've hit you once, I'm going to take it down, I'm going to do what I want to you. And I think we're going to see Suarez come out a little bit of the striking, like I say, with the 1 or 2 hits. She'll have like a couple of set combination kind of counters to return back to Grasso to make a kind of respect her a bit more, the stand up. But ultimately, I'm going to see Suarez get the win here.
Yeah, it's a good fight. I'm looking forward. It's a good co-main event, I think, as well. And we're on to the main event of the night. This is, I think, the most avoided man in the UFC. I think personally, I think this guy is just an absolute, and I can see why guys don't want to fight him. We have Damian Maia stepping up here for the injured Santiago Ponzinibbio, who pulled out, I think it was probably about a month ago now. Maia stepped in. He's up against Kamaru Usman, who is unbelievable and just a guy that I think is the future of the division. How do you see this main event going down?
Well, I would like Damian Maia to have stepped in if we're going to Nelson to face Neil Magny in Liverpool. But anyway, any other UFC welterweights want to do it, please step up. But this one, he is the most avoided man. End of. People just, you don't see people calling out Kamaru Usman. That's one thing that's true. But you see a lot of fighters in the welterweight division call out other fighters. But you don't want to beat. Why didn't you want to beat him? Because you can't. The dude, he's getting a lot better with his striking. A lot better. He's getting more confident. But he's so good at taking you down and owning you on that mat. You can't do a goddamn thing. Now, Damian Maia has announced that he's fighting out the rest of his contract, and that's him retiring after. He's got 4 fights left. This is one of the 4 left in his UFC contract, and he's hoping to maybe get them done by maybe in the next year or so. So this is the last time we're going to see Damian Maia. Is he on it? Like, if he does lose this fight, if Damian Maia loses this, I'm not sure what next 3 fights he has in him. If he were to pull out the win here, I think the odds are crazy for this one as well, by the way. I don't think they're as big as they are. I know Kamaru Usman's a monster, but Damian Maia is goddamn Damian Maia. People need to be aware that Usman just can't mess around with this. He can't be cocksure of himself on the ground. Damian Maia could submit anyone, and the last thing Usman needs to do is to lose to Damian Maia, because Colby will have a field day with that. If you're Kamaru Usman, you want to stop this guy. You want to stop Damian Maia. Because then you can say, Colby, what are you doing? Because I tell you what, I would have Kamaru Usman fight the winner of... oh, no, it's the interim title, isn't they're fighting for, which is stupid. But you Colby and RDA fighting. I would have Kamaru Usman fight probably the loser of them two. Because obviously the winner's going to fight Tyron Woodley. I'd have Kamaru Usman fight the loser of that fight to then probably give him the title shot next or something like that. But yeah, I do see Kamaru Usman winning though. And the thing is, I can see him beating Damian Maia on the feet. He's a cleaner striker, and I think this is the problem. I think Kamaru Usman won't bother going to the ground. I think you'll see almost like a Tyron Woodley fight where Kamaru Usman's going to stop any attempt that Damian Maia tries to make to get him down. And he's just going to tear up, just use his left 1-2, just 1-2, pop, 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 and just pick away at Damian Maia. It's 5 rounds. Kamaru Usman will just pick away at him and knock. I think he'll stop him. I think he'll stop him in the later rounds, maybe third or 4th round. TKO finish for Kamaru Usman.
Yeah, it's fair play to Damian Maia for stepping in. Like,
he's gangster.
Yeah, he's like this. Nobody wants to fight him, Kamaru Usman. It's, I think, I can't remember who it was. Maybe Ariel Helwani came out 2 weeks ago and says that by far Kamaru Usman is the most avoided guy in the UFC. They've thrown 5 or 6 names at him and they don't even get responses back. Now, going what happened with Yair Rodriguez,
yeah,
people should be getting booted out if that is the case, if you don't want to face a guy like that. And really, I think it's a good matchup for him personally. Maia, he's already got the seed in the head that he's going to retire within the next year when he gets his fight deal out the road. And fair enough, because he is 40 years old. He's an old guy. He's around. You watch that fight with Colby Covington. He actually starts the fight really well, and he starts pinging Colby with a lot of shots, but then he starts to fade, and then he just kind of got outworked by Colby Covington. I think Kamaru Usman is 2 times the fighter of what Colby Covington is personally. I think Colby Covington is clearly, in my opinion, running from this guy, and he has been for years. Kamaru Usman is like a genetic freak. He's chiseled. He's athletic. He's strong. Some of the things that he has to be careful with here. He did get submitted way back before it was on Ultimate Fighter, with someone taking his back and submitting him. Then on the Ultimate Fighter show, Michael Graves actually got his back 2 times. So if you let someone like Damian Maia get on your back, or even on your bike, he might steal your bike. But if he gets on your back, you're in deep shit, and he might have enough to get a guy like Damian Maia or survive down there, because Maia's not one of these guys that's instantly going to go for things. He will work on certain things and make you open up like Gunnar Nelson does. They're brilliant to watch. They stay patient. They wait for their openings. I just don't think Damian Maia's going to get even near Kamaru Usman here. I think Usman's got big power. Striking is coming on. I think this is a fight to really show that he has got legit striking skills and can really hurt Damian Maia. Damian Maia hasn't got a gas tank either. If he starts shooting from miles out, Kamaru's just going to absolutely look at him and think, what are you doing? And he's going to lie on his back. Would it surprise me if Kamaru Usman went into his guard and started landing a few shots? No, but I think he has to be careful if he's doing that. I think he has to pick his times to do that as well. Don't do it in the first couple of rounds.
Yeah.
Once you get in the middle part of this fight, Damian's going to be blown out his arse. So that's when you get him there. I'm with you. I think Kamaru's going to stop him here. I think inside the distance is a great bait this week, by the way, with Kamaru Usman. Hopefully the line on that's good. Doubt it. But Kamaru Usman, for me, is going to win this fight. I think he's going to win very, very convincingly and show the world why he is one of the best guys in the division. Now, I don't think this is the right matchup for him to do that. Maybe a Mr. Tilla, Mr. Wonderboy would like to face him after this. I think they set up perfectly for that, to make that fight. Darren Till, he'll fight Kamaru Usman. He doesn't want to fight Kamaru Usman. I'm telling you right now, he wants that there. And Darren Till's a cool dude, a really great guy, but nobody, I'm telling you, nobody in this division wants to face Kamaru Usman. If Colby Covington wins, I'll be honest with you, I think RDA would fight someone. I think RDA would be the kind of guy that, when I look at the top rankings, I think RDA is the guy that would love to face him. Or he would face him. I don't see Tyron Woodley want to face him.
Robbie Lawler, if he was fit, I think Robbie would say yes. I think Robbie would never turn anyone down.
So Colby's not going to want it. I really don't think Tyron Woodley would want to fight a guy like this, because I think he could
stylistically be a pain in the ass.
I think a bad matchup, So, but for this one, Kamaru Usman for me is he's going to win this fight, in my opinion. He'll get a stoppage as well.
And there you go, bro. That was a great card announced breakdown, mate.
It was.
Let's go to the questions, though.
Okay, we're going to talk about bets. Let's talk quickly about bets.
We'll do bets first. Yeah. Sorry, you're right. Bets.
We'll quickly go through it. Like, the odds are out. They're not out in the UK yet. But like I've said, I've already mentioned a couple that I like. Veronica Macedo, that line actually went up from when we first started. She was plus 190. She's now plus 245.
Bloody hell, that's went up a lot.
Yeah, that line is going up, and that's going to go up. So I'm probably, if I'm picking underdogs, like I've been saying most of the year, I'm going to try and bet them. Okay. At that one, it's worth putting on a small bet, in my opinion, because I think the fight's going to be close. Other people think that Andrea Lee's going to run away with it, so it's like, I don't think so. I think it's worth at least a little shot. I like Diego Rivas. I think he's very playable at minus 185. Hopefully in the UK I get him about minus 150. That'd be nice. I really hope Vicente Luque's about minus 200 when he comes over here. But I think it might be a little bit of a parlay card, this one. No more than 3 bets for me. I don't think, but I think it's a card that could be on a few underdogs could come through. When I'm looking at Felipe Silva, I think I could match him up with someone like Zach Cummins. and get close to even money. That's what I'm thinking about. And the other one was Gabriel Benitez with Enrique Barzola as well. So they're the 5 or 6 fighters I'm looking at. But honestly, I think that it is a pretty tough. I thought last week,
and Kamaru Usman finishing in the time as well. You reckon? Yeah, so, that's a good one.
People were asking me last week about inside the distance. It's double chance basically. So by knockout or submission, as long as it doesn't go to the cards and the fight stops, then I got Mackenzie Dern by that last week. I bet Mackenzie Dern, and I said on this, I said on my own show on YouTube, I was like, I will not bet Mackenzie Dern because she absolutely made me shit the bed the last time. It was so close. But once she missed weight, that extra weight,
a lot.
Yeah, and I thought she's going to stop her here, and I got it plus. I got it like plus 120, and easy cash as well. So they're the people I'm looking at in this one here. So keep a wee eye. You can come and follow me on Bet MMA Tips and Capper Tech, and you'll see what bets I put there. And I think I'm going to start doing in my channel as well. If I get time, it's write out a little bit about the bets I'm putting on and seeing how it's going to. I'm going to do it. I'm going to try and do it. It's hard to do though, so but that's who I'm kind of looking at for this week.
Nice. I listened to you. I forgot to do any last week.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about the bets. I had too much on and I forgot all about them.
I had 4 last week and 3 of them won, and Jacare was the only one that lost, and it was a close. That could have went either way. I thought Gastelum won personally, but
I do too. I thought Jacare looked awful after the second round. He looked in the second. He looked slow and sloppy. It was weird.
From the minute he was on the back of Gastelum in round 3 and he slipped off, I thought, you're not going to win this fight. So it was close though. So let's go to questions now. My bad. I did that before. So questions. Adam has thrown them. Our boy Adam Sean at AdamSean292. Free fantasy and free probable guest fighters for UFC London. Well, we know Aljamain Sterling's coming, so that's a definite. Now, I think because you've got your TriStar guys, maybe someone TriStar based. Let's think here. That's a good one. Who could there be else coming over? Duffy.
Joe Duffy, yeah. There you go, local guy, yeah, good lad. And then let's think about, because he'll use an excuse to come home and see family as well, pay trip. And you've got other fighters coming across. Oh, Jason Knight, not Alan Belcher, but
I think someone like a Gastelum. He's just thought he'll not be chilling for a few weeks. I think that might someone do.
Mackenzie Dern.
I don't know.
You literally never know with this game. So here we go. Is the punishment enough for missing weight? I don't know who this is about. And how much advantage does it give? Well, the last 10 fighters in the UFC to miss weight have all won. They're on a 10-fight win streak, so it pays to miss weight. You get a deduction in your purse, but you're still getting paid and you're winning. And guess what? It moves you up the rankings. So yeah, it does give you. It's a huge advantage anyway. For example, the Mackenzie Dern fight, she was 7 pounds over, but that's with the pound allocation. So technically, she's 8 pounds overweight. She was only 2 pounds shy of a different weight class. So in theory, she was actually a flyweight fighting a strawweight. Because we don't know what she weighed when she went into that cage. We don't know how much more she put on. She didn't make that mistake by a bit. She made it by a lot.
Yeah.
You don't just mistakenly miss your poundage. She has a picture of her the weighing scales the day before, thanking them. Woo, that company's good. They're 7 pounds out. Oh.
Crazy. Like, from the minute I heard she missed a flight, I thought there's no way she's making that weight. And then I heard on Ariel's show tonight that when she got into Rio, she was 139.5. So she had 24 pounds to lose. She was never, ever making that weight. But Amanda Cooper let her off with it by actually getting so pissed off that she wanted to fight.
Yeah.
She should have. The way you stop people like that from gaining things is by not fighting them. She should have said no to the fight.
That much weight difference. What they should have done as well was allocate her so much she can put back on.
Yeah,
they did it with another fighter. Another fighter did it, and he said you can't weigh more than that much the next fight.
Prazares, and he missed it again.
Yeah,
I think he missed that in his last fight against Desmond Green. So You can't reward people like that are going to miss weight so badly, because she obviously didn't give two shits about it. She says that she was a certain weight and she lost some of it. I don't believe it for a second, but you can't reward people like that. And Amanda Cooper fought with emotion, and it cost her at the end of the day because she got absolutely starched.
So is she 7-0 now? Is she Mackenzie doing? Was it
7-0? Yeah,
and she's missed weight three times.
Yeah.
So it's not once or twice. Almost half her fight, she can't make weight, and she's going to the UFC Performance Institute. No, love, it's called a salad, and put down the fork. That's what it is. It's not rocket science. Stop eating those cookies, all right? It's called cardio as well. Clearly don't do enough of it. There's Instagram videos of it on a cardio machine. Weren't spending enough time on that, were you, love? You literally must have went on there for the Instagram video and then got off it. Here we go. Should Rocky, i.e. Pennington, ditch her team after making her go out for the last round? Now, I personally, when I watched it live, I was like, what is going on here? This is bananas. But you've got to look at it. If I've got Raquel Pennington fighting for me, and she's never said that once in a fight, and out of the blue she just says this random thing, and it's the 4th round of a championship fight. She's worked her ass off for years to get that title fight, to get that shot, and you don't know if she'll ever get it again because you don't know how someone's career might go, for example. And this guy, the coach, has that split-second decision where he's probably never had this incident happen to him before. It's a hard one to get your head around, to say what's like. You've only got a minute. Well, technically, less than a minute to go. What's up? What's wrong? You can't break that down. So I think it's harsh to have a go at the coaches for what they did, because we've seen what Raquel Pennington can do. She's tough as nails. She goes out there and fights. She was outclassed in that fight. Amanda Nunes is just another level above a lot of them girls in that weight in that division. I think Raquel Pennington, they maybe saw something that she can maybe get a one hit and wonder, and you never know. And I think they probably sit down with her after and go, are you happy you went out in your shield, rather than go out a different way? Because when she sleeps at night, saying I can't do it anymore will murder her. If they did that, if they'd let that happen, it would beat her mentally. Now I know we've seen it with Lomachenko. When he boxes, guys have quit in the corner, while the coaches have been like, nah, we're not having this. You're getting outclassed. So it's a hard one to decide. It's like they were being smart by letting their fighter fight for longer, by not letting him take the beating that Lomachenko offers in boxing, where he just dominates fighters. So it's a tough one. You know, they could have easily pulled her out. She was already battered. She took a bit more of a drumming and a bit more damage. I don't know, really, but I wouldn't sack him.
No. It's about knowing your fighter.
Yeah.
And it's a spur of the moment. It's a heat of the moment thing as well. She might have been feeling that. She might be sitting back now, being back home, and she's thinking, yeah, the right decision was made for me to go into that fight and go out in my shield. At the time, it obviously wasn't, because she was wanting out. But her coaches are paid to make those decisions. Ultimately, it's on the fighter. She could have turned around and said, look, I don't want to fight anymore, and it could have been stopped. So she went to them, and they tried to push her on, and it's a hard thing to do. I've been reading a lot about it. I've seen people moaning about it, and I'm all about fighter safety, but I don't know. It's a tough one to talk about. I think it's about knowing your fighter and what they want and how they're going to deal with that going forward. So yeah. We'll see going forward how she kind of deals with that, because she wanted to quit basically, and that's. The coaches didn't want her to do that, because she knew she would probably sit back and regret it. But it's a hard one to kind of to question, really.
We have next questions are from Matthew Hawkins, our boy. His Twitter handle is @coot66hawk. That's COOT66hawk, the bird. Okay. Did Ryan Bader win Bellator 199 make him the favourite for the Grand Prix? He was definitely up there already, I feel, as a favourite. He was definitely in contention. Does that make him the favourite? I say no. I still favour Matt Mitrione. If out of everyone in that tournament left over, I'm going to go Matt Mitrione myself. I think Ryan Bader's a good light heavyweight. I think, obviously, when you fight true heavyweights, because Mo Lawler wasn't really a heavyweight, like Matt Mitrione and Ryan Bader, that's a tough fight, man. Like that's a big guy got to take down. Like, that's when you'll feel real power. And like Matt Mitrione hits Ryan Bader, that's when he'll know that it's different weight classes. So yeah, I wouldn't say it is. Would you?
I don't know. I like Ryan Bader. I think he's going to win the whole thing. He was my favourite before it even kicked off. The thing is with Mitrione, he needs to be careful because Mitrione's a big hitter. So for me, Ryan Bader is definitely the favourite now. I think him against Fedor would actually be a pretty good fight. I think the power of Bader would give him a little bit of trouble, but I think that him and Fedor would be, I think, very similar kind of sizes. And
no, Fedor's 240 something.
240, so he's a little bit bigger. But I think
it's Sonnen and Fedor.
Yeah, so I think if they made the final, I think it would be pretty decent. Yeah. But, Bader was my favourite going in. He's my favourite to win it, but we'll need to wait and see. Because Mitrione does hit hard, so who knows?
You've got here, how does Mo Lawler come back from that huge loss? And what do you think Matt Mitrione was thinking after the fight and all the shit talking Lawler said prior? I think. What do you think about the King Mo thing? Because I just think that's what he is. Yeah,
he loves winding people up. It is what it is. He loves talking shit. He's always been like that. He's saying he's moving back to 185. He came out and said he's moving back to 185. Yeah. So we'll see him. He'll be down there. Probably end up facing Musasi or something very, very soon, no doubt. Or I think Melvin Manhoef's coming back to 185 as well. So wouldn't surprise me if they two face off. But the shit talking, it's just King Mo. King Mo's always been like that. He's picked many people. I think John Jones was one of them. I think Cormier was even one of those guys. It wouldn't be Cormier. It was John Jones. They've been at it a little bit as well. So it is what it is. It's going to happen in the fight game.
Yeah, I think again. I said it's not a huge loss. He was just. It was a name in a hat. He was in a division. It's not really his. I know Ryan Bader's not a heavyweight anyway, but he's a champ. But yeah, I think it's a fight that, and Matt Mitrione, he doesn't care about that stuff. He does not give a crap. He just does his own thing. He's in a different planet sometimes, Matt Mitrione, but he is a lovable. I quite like Matt Mitrione. He's kind of quirky. There's something about him that I think is kind of cool. And more questions here. So from Matt, here we go. UFC seems to care, in brackets, for Mackenzie Dern and her future weight cut. Do you think any other fighters would have gotten the same treatment after an embarrassing weigh-in? They are protecting her a bit because, let's be honest, I haven't seen too much about, like, Dana White usually slams fighters for stuff like that and all this. They just see her as money. She is a cash machine that just gives. She is a product. They are selling her and they are promoting her and they're giving her fights more suitable for her. And they obviously clearly aren't bothered about the weight cutting. They're obviously putting her to the Performance Institute to tell her that she needs to eat salads, but they're going to take care of her. It's like Sage Northcutt. They take care of their and Paige Van Zandt, they take care of their little possessions that they see they make more money from other fighters. You know, they'll look at certain fighters and I think, well, they're going to be good for us, but that's the one that's going to make us some money. And that's what Mackenzie Dern is. Yeah,
she's very marketable. That's what it is. And there's a lot of different markets that she brings in. Obviously, the Brazilian, American, wherever she is. Jiu-Jitsu. When she wants to be, she can be extremely like when she puts the war paint on, she looks extremely beautiful. So. She's marketable. And the UFC, that's what I said last week, it was like, the UFC know what they're doing by giving her Amanda Cooper, and it showed out that way that she was too good for Amanda Cooper. So, like I say, like people that miss weight like that have done that in the past, like Johnny Hendricks, he's got slammed. But Johnny Hendricks doesn't bring in the money, so it's like, she's got the opportunity to do that. I just think it is what it is. If it was in America and Dana was there, it might have been different. But in Brazil, she's from Brazil. It's what it is.
Yeah. Okay, who would you choose for your all-time dream fight? No set weight class. Could be a catch weight bout, or just could be like old school. Doesn't matter. Like UFC 1, any weight class goes. Gosh, all-time dream fight for me. So it could be anyone. I do know what it is for me. That question I want answered. It was old school. It was used to be Fedor against Kane, but now I want Kane versus Stipe. I want to know a good Kane and a good Stipe. Who's the most badass man on the planet?
Yeah.
That would be my one.
If I had to make one, I would go.
There's a lot of fights, so that's only one.
I'd go a prime BJ Penn against a prime Jose Aldo. Because I still think that BJ Penn, when he was in his pomp around UFC 107 when he beat Diego Sanchez, I still think he was one of the most dominant fighters that we've had in the sport. I just love
so good, so good.
Yeah, and Aldo, for the longest time, was just an absolute destroyer. I think I'd definitely have Aldo probably winning the fight, but you couldn't count out BJ Penn back in the day because he was beating, like, he was going up to 170 and beating Matt Hughes, and around that time when he defended his belt a few times, he was shit hot and he was such a good fighter to watch. So that's one of the ones I've always thought about as a kind of fantasy matchup. Ones today, I think a Stipe against a John Jones would be a good fight.
Yeah,
I think it'd be a great fight.
I like that more than DC against Stipe.
Yeah.
I like John Jones and Stipe. Like, I'm not that interested in Brock and John Jones.
No, I'm not interested in Brock either.
Doesn't even twig me at all. No interest. But Stipe and John Jones, oh hell yeah, I'm into that, baby.
Yeah.
Oof, God dang, that'd be fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there you go, bro. That's the questions.
So another week done. So that's another week done, guys. Next week it's UFC Liverpool. So we'll probably be back on it on Sunday night. We will be on it Sunday night. I'm not going to bed early on Sunday night. I don't know what was up with me last night. I was just tired. But yeah, we're going to be in Liverpool from Wednesday, Thursday onwards. We're probably going to be doing some stuff, so keep an eye on that. John's bringing some equipment over, so we're probably going to be doing some interviews and so on. So if you get any questions, when we find out who the guest fighters are, maybe if you want to throw us a couple towards the guest fighters, we'll get them to answer it for you. But I'm looking forward to getting down to Liverpool. I love going to live events, and especially ones to places that haven't had an event before, like Liverpool. It's going to be a really, really raucous crowd. Obviously, we've got the Bellator on the Friday before it, so we're trying to figure out how we can watch that as well if we can. But yeah, that's going to be us for another week, guys. If just come and like, comment, subscribe, leave your picks below in the comment section. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. But we'll be back next week for UFC Liverpool. So until then, take care and enjoy the fights from Chile this weekend.